Hello everyone, Alan Sens here, and welcome to this segment on nuclear testing. In this segment, we are going to conduct an overview of nuclear testing and lay the foundations for a lot of the material we'll be discussing in the rest of the course. So let's get started. Here are the learning objectives for this segment. When we're done, you should be able to describe the scale and scope of nuclear weapons testing from 1945 to today. And right away, we're faced with a fundamental question. How do you count nuclear tests? Do you count actual explosions or test attempts? After all, a test attempt may fail, and so there will be no explosion, and some tests are not explosions. They are what we call subcritical tests. So what we're going to do in this video, and indeed for the rest of the course, is we are going to use the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty Organization dataset, and that dataset is built on counting the number of nuclear explosions detonated. And so, between 1945 and 1996, the date of the signing of the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, there were approximately 2,050 nuclear explosions detonated around the world. And since 1996, there have been 9 explosions. Of the tests conducted between 1945 and 1996, approximately 500, about 25%, were detonated in the atmosphere. On average, between 1945 and 1996, there was 1 nuclear test every 9 days for 5 decades. And from 1955 to 1989, the average number of nuclear tests conducted every year was 55. The year 1962 was the peak year, 178 tests, 96 conducted by the United States and 79 by the Soviet Union. The largest nuclear weapon ever tested was the Soviet Tsar Bomba test at Novaya Zemlya on October 30th, 1961. With the largest yield ever, between 50 to 58 megatons. And obviously that's a pretty big margin of error, right, between 50 and 58, and it's really a testament to how big the explosion was. We really don't know just how big it really was. Between 1945 and 2016, over 60 different locations have been used as test sites around the world. Here's the record. We know, of course, the United States, 1945, right? Soviet Union, 1949, United Kingdom, 52, followed by France in 1960, and then China in 1964. And of course, there are your permanent 5 veto-wielding members of the United Nations Security Council, right? Then we have India in 1974 with its peaceful nuclear device. I don't think anyone was fooled by that, but it counts as a test. And then again in 1998 with 2 tests, followed by Pakistan in response in 1998 with its 2 tests. And then, of course, we have North Korea with tests in 2006, 2009, 2013, and 2 in 2016 for a total to date of 5. Now, these 2 are interesting, and we'll come back to them in a moment, but Israel may have tested in 1979, and South Africa may have tested in 1979. Back to that in a bit. This chart just shows the different environments in which a nuclear weapon can be tested. So obviously we have atmospheric nuclear tests, we have underground nuclear tests, so this is the majority of the tests. We have high atmospheric or low space tests, and then we have tests in the water, usually underwater. So those are your 4 big test environments. Here's the record of testing overall. This is from the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty Organization website. It's a little hard to read because of the scale, but basically what it shows is from 1945 the record of testing all the way to 2016. And we have the various countries, so the USA is in this light blue color, Russia, Soviet Union in the greenish color, United Kingdom in orange, France in blue, China in red, and then the colors kind of blend in a little bit on this map. India is here, Pakistan in green, and then of course we have North Korea here in brown. So we can see the pattern year by year. Again, most of the tests conducted clearly by the Soviet Union and by the United States. Here's this peak year of 1962 with 178 tests. And then if we go closer to our own time, we will see the North Korean tests right here. This chart, also from the CTBTO, shows the tests in the atmosphere and underground. And so here are the atmospheric tests up here, and here are the underground nuclear tests here. And you can really see by the Partial Test Ban Treaty in 1963, most countries, especially the United States and the Soviet Union, tested underground. There were some exceptions, of course. You see here France and China continued to conduct tests in the atmosphere after the Partial Test Ban Treaty, but then those peter out, and you can see very few tests above ground at all after that period. And then, of course, closer to the opening of signature of the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, very few tests at all, with the North Korean tests, again, being the most recent. Now, the question I referred to earlier stems from this incident. It's the Maybe test, and it's known as the Vela incident, or the South Atlantic flash, as some have called it, and it was an unidentified double flash of light detected by an American Vela Hotel satellite on September 22nd, 1979. And here was the location of that mysterious flash. The flash occurred near the Prince Edward Islands. That's not the Canadian Prince Edward Island, that's the Prince Edward Islands off Antarctica. And the most widespread theory among those who believe the flash was of nuclear origin is that it resulted from a joint South African and Israeli nuclear test. Detractors, critics say the signal could have been an electronic signal generated by what was an aging detector in an aging satellite, or perhaps a meteorite strike, or a lightning bolt, or a meteoroid hitting the Vela satellite itself. There was no other corroboration of an explosion, and no ability to detect the presence of nuclear byproducts in the air. However, other examiners of the data, including the Defense Intelligence Agency in the United States Naval Research Laboratory, defense contractors, and most academics and reporters, have come to the conclusion that the flash was the result of a nuclear detonation. And of course, what this really does is illustrate the importance of detection verification, right? I mean, we really need to know when tests occur. And so this is a testament to how important the ability to detect and verify nuclear tests really is. Okay, so by now you should be able to describe the scale and scope of nuclear weapons testing from 1945 to today. Okay, a couple of pieces. First, I think it's quite startling for people who aren't familiar with the history of nuclear testing to realize just how many nuclear tests have been conducted in the world. It's really quite extraordinary. And I think the second piece coming out of this that's crucial is the significance of these tests on people and places. And we'll be talking quite a bit more about that as the course progresses. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you soon.